What's going on, y'all, and welcome on in. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. If you weren't aware, Smilegates just made a big announcement post talking about the state of the game, sort of an address to the player base, because if you weren't aware, guys, a lot of the player base right now is upset with how Smilegate has been running things in terms of character balance, character animations. It's especially prevalent on the Korean side, the Korean player base side, and some of y'all here in my community may have not been aware of this, may have not seen this post, so we'll cover it today. But more than ever, please, I want to talk with you guys. I don't get to talk with y'all about serious matters that often. It's usually just guides and other formats like that, but please leave me a comment below after you watch this video and let me know what you think about this entire coverage. I'll show you here in just a second. Other than that, though, if you're just here for the guides, I'm going to continue the RTA series very soon. I think a lot of y'all learned a little bit from that. If you can't watch that, make sure you stop by my Twitch streams this week. We're going to have Twitch drops enabled. Excuse me. By the time y'all watch this next week, we'll have Twitch drops enabled so you can get some free lease, some free gold, and possibly get yourself an account review for master climbing and maybe lock in that RB. So if you need extra help, guys, find me in the link in the description below, or I'll put a link up here for Twitch. But let's get on with the video. Alright, y'all, let's go ahead and pull up the update I keep talking about. The Epic 7 Balance Adjustment Direction Notice. This just came out yesterday. They're saying, hello, heirs. They're saying our official message and news regarding the recent matters about the current meta and balance of the game. They're aware of it, and we apologize for the late notice and for causing concern among our heirs regarding gameplay. So if you're watching this and you're kind of just starting E7, guys, don't worry. This doesn't affect you at all. The game is still amazing for new players. One of the best looking gotchas. I swear by it. However, there is a concern to be said for once you reach the late game, especially in PvP real-time arena. The Korean player base, especially during the live streams, has been very vocal, very outspoken with their dissatisfaction on how Smilegate is handling especially those kind of things. That's why they're talking about the meta and the balance. They call units like Kawerik, Rimu, the 7 Great Disasters, AOL, and now Smilegate keeps bringing out new power creep units, maybe not overbuffing certain units, not buffing units that aren't utilized well. They just have a lot of dissatisfaction with the current meta. It was even so bad that during, if y'all watched this patch preview, right, if you checked out any of my content covering the newest stuff, all the free goodies we got, the introduction of 2 new units, the announcement of the group selector, and the Guilty Gear collab, guys, we were all excited for that, right? Can y'all believe that the Korean side was very upset? And this is why Smilegate made this post, because the Korean player base, even despite having all that stuff, they still view Smilegate as kind of avoiding the major issue. So let's go ahead and discuss that now. And remember, when you read this together with me, let me know what y'all think overall of the situation, because I want to know from my own community, as well as maybe the non-Korean player base, the sort of overall consensus on how y'all feel about the state of the game in terms of these kind of balance adjustments. All right? Okay, so they start by saying, since the start of E7, they've been making various attempts to balance the heroes more appropriately. Yeah, we have regular balance patches with the intention to allow more heroes loved by our players to have their roles on the battlefield. Sometimes it works out, guys. Sometimes it doesn't. You check every month or so for your favorite units, if they get buffed or not. Sometimes they're missing. Sometimes they're there, but there's not enough buffs. You know, it's hit or miss. There's just so much stuff to cover in terms of the balance patches. You can't make everyone happy, and I think that's what they're trying to address as well. But they admit their own inadequacy, which is pretty big, guys, for you know, a company to admit this stuff, and they're going to try to make the situation more enjoyable and pleasant as soon as possible. So we could see some complete revamps to the balance situation fast, and we'll take note of that. Moving on, they've been receiving the opinion from the current meta, and they're saying they're on the same page. The most important goal is in balance adjustment for us is improve the utilization of heroes and artifacts based on data. We don't want to put our players in a situation where they must use heroes with the highest stats after putting so much effort and time in raising and improving heroes artifacts that they liked. And yeah, and that is not really how the game is at the moment with how heavy the power creep has been. In particular, the voices of players who wish to use certain 5-star Moonlight heroes who at the moment kind of run the game, which are more difficult to obtain, was something we could not neglect. And we will not deny that we put higher priority on improving the utilization of 5-star Moonlights in World Arena over those of other covenants. Yeah, that's for sure. Due to the difficulty of attaining 5-star Moonlight heroes in long Mystic Summon rotation cycles, the balance adjustments made in the past only created an imbalance of benefits between the small number of players who had heroes and those who did not. The biggest offender of that case, guys, is Mediator Kawerik, who on his release admittedly was very mediocre. That's why he got one of his nicknames, to almost weak. And so a lot of people passed on him unless you just really liked his design. And then they decided to make him the premier anti-Angel of the Light counter and just premier cleanser utility support unit. He's all in one. He's the best. And the part that sucks is if you didn't pull on that banner because you got lucky or you just liked how he looked, there was such a important meta unit now that a lot of people are missing, and they say they acknowledge that, right? the long rotations, etc. In addition, giving new heroes competitive stats and abilities equivalent to the demanding heroes was another major reason that worsened the current issue. All right, guys, I'm gonna move to this next part quickly because we got a lot to cover, but they're still going on their. They're explaining how their balanced thought process went, and if you haven't been playing super long, they mentioned that for a while, the last summer, think of when like the collab, the ReZero collab hit and Violet got buffed. There was a lot of red, green, blue units that were super strong, but they were all kind of like a rock, paper, scissors meta. And instead of doing that, guys, they said they decided to try to improve Moonlight heroes instead that were less meta competitive without sufficient consideration on improvements in the acquisition of Moonlight heroes, which I just mentioned with like Kawerik, for example. So they're just acknowledging the faults and why we are kind of in the situation we are at the moment. So in this section here, guys, they're talking about moving forward, and they're also saying they will not improve 5-star Moonlight heroes that are not used as much unless they confirm, like, I guess, extra testing that they will improve the current game state, and they're going to try not to prevent certain heroes from becoming excessively powerful, like Apocalypse Ravi, like Kawerik, even if it's necessary to create new changes in the meta. Also, to indirectly curb some of the powerful Moonlight heroes, we'll try to improve the Covenant heroes and especially change heroes further. So they're going to try to buff the red, green, blues and maybe the SC units as well. They're saying if that does not work, they're considering reducing the stats and effects of current class signs and exclusive equipment. So take note of this, guys, because later on they're going to say that nerfing heroes is not on the agenda. Directly nerfing heroes is not on the agenda because they could lead to greater issues. So they're still saying that's off the table. However, and I think this is very clever and honestly a good thing from Smilegate, you could consider a readjustment of stats. So think of like the sign. If a sign of a unit gets changed, guys, they could see less speed, for example, or more HP in exchange for less attack, something like that, right? Basically, you're changing up the stats, so maybe it won't be considered a straight nerf, but it will affect the balance, and that's why I might mention, maybe it's in the title or on the thumbnail, that there are possible nerfs coming. And I think that could be a good thing, guys. And that's much better than just straight nerfing heroes. They're going to try to find some workaround ways to maybe balance overpowered heroes because they're not going to do any direct nerfs. And they want to make sure the game state becomes a little bit better. So good on Smilegate, in my opinion. Let me know what y'all think on that. But they said they also might buff or nerf exclusive equipment as well to readjust those powerful heroes they're saying. Or buff underutilized heroes as well. All right, let's keep moving on. Down here, guys, they're talking about the possible improvements to equipment. This might be interesting to some of y'all that don't really care too much about like the PvP balance. They are talking about equipment, and they give us some data here, which I think is interesting, just to kind of back up what they're planning and how they do changes. But they're showing how the usage rates of all the equipments, and of course, speed is on top with crit second because Wyvern is always the thing that I recommend and most players will recommend because it's just the easiest. It gives you the most access to early game. It's just the best stat-wise in the beginning. It's the easiest to use. However, there's a lot of other sets that I think are underutilized that, of course, maybe if Smilegate decides to buff or add things to those said hunts, we could see some significant changes, especially hunts like Banshee. And as we saw, Katie's already got a significant amount of revamp, which is why a lot of people started going there more often. But the balance adjustment on equipment sets will widen the selection of sets, allowing players to discover new values for heroes. Okay, so the balance adjustment on equipment sets, guys, they're going to improve the current equipment, something that has a large role in the balance of PvP in order to expand its synergy with the heroes. We once again will closely evaluate the efficiency, so that's why they're showing that chart up there, and they're trying to make it advantageous and disadvantageous to each other. As the current equipment system will be addressed simultaneously with other systems, it'll be very challenging for us to resolve issues regarding meta in a short period. They keep referencing this, guys. They're saying like it's going to take a while for all these changes to happen. I just hope that they decide on something sooner than later because I don't want us to be losing some of the player base that has been very upset. But nevertheless, we'll do our best to implement. Okay, so overall, they're looking at balancing equipment sets, and then here, guys, new equipment sets. This is kind of huge. They're concerned that many of the players that are making adjusting on the current equipment sets would not be enough to make changes in performance balance in PvP. So we will add new equipment sets to give more selections to players. Now, I think having more equipment sets is always fun. It spices things up. Maybe it'll make more alternatives to speed or other mainstay sets. But if they want to address the overall issue, guys, in terms of PvP balance, because this is where this all kind of started, is the balance of the current top heroes and how they sort of made a mistake overbuffing some heroes, etc. Power creeping new releases. But you know, listen, I'll have fun. I think a lot of us will have fun with new equipment sets and things like that. But if it's just to fix the balance of the game, I don't think this is where we need to focus on, at least not right now. Let me know what y'all think, guys. I know a lot of y'all will say, hey, I would love to have more equipment options. It's always a good thing. More content is great. But yeah, I'm not too sure why they're adding this when they really should just focus on the balance patch part, specifically looking at what they need to do to buff, possibly maybe slight nerfs, things like that, like they stated above. But either way, we might see new equipment sets, maybe even new hunts coming out when they decide to put a time frame on this whole update. Additionally, guys, there are improvements and additions on the PvP system. So far we got a revamp to the balances, how they're going to balance all the units. They're going to add and adjust new equipment sets and maybe possibly buff the existing ones. And then now they're talking about the actual PvP systems themselves. So in RTA, pre-ban will be applied to 2 heroes. I mentioned that in the content update. This might be really good. There's a select few people that this might hurt if you know their playstyle, but overall, I think this is going to be a big win. I think a lot of people will like the if you have a lot of units, it's nice. If you have a very few amount of rosters, or sorry, a very few amount of units, the 2 pre-bans could hurt you, but overall, I think it's a win. The new mode, E7WC mode. This is maybe for the more competitive players, but more options is always nice. It's kind of cool. It's going to lead up into the E7 World Championship. And then here's where I think a lot of y'all might enjoy this. A 3v3 team arena mode is designed to be more casual than RTA, but more challenging than the normal arena. So it's 3v3. Think of like Guild Wars with 3 teams, I believe. Kind of cool. I'm excited to see it. As long as it has good rewards, right, guys? I think a lot of us will enjoy that. They say their main reason for introducing this mode is to aim to raise the value of heroes when forming teams. So I think they want just some of those underutilized units in RTA maybe will shine here, because there is a different meta between Guild Wars and RTA, for example. So that's pretty cool, I guess. As well as the objectives above, we are preparing a major update for the second quarter, which I guess starts around May. Starting with a recent improvement on summoning Moonlight heroes, we're planning to introduce changes so that players may obtain and raise heroes and artifacts more easily, and obtain equipment with stats high enough for PvP battle faster. I think this is very good, guys. Now, I know endgame players, you know, might feel a little bit slighted that newer players will be able to obtain better PvP gear faster, but I think overall it's good. We want to have a slight catch-up mechanic. We don't want to trivialize the hard work endgame players put in, but we do want a catch-up mechanic, because right now it's very hard for brand new players to catch up in a decent amount of time. Not only that, but they're planning to introduce changes so that we can get more heroes and artifacts more easily. Very good. Who knows what that might mean? Maybe more units and rotations, maybe more events, group banner, things like that. Who knows? Could be really good. They're going to give more details soon. Okay. I think that mostly covers it, guys. They're talking about the update details. These are the proposed adjustments and improvements we have for now. We would like to express our most sincere apology for the current matters being discussed in the community regarding balance, and we'll do our best to listen and carefully review your opinions on providing a better gaming environment. Thank you, they say. So, overall, what do you guys think? Now that we've kind of covered most of it, they've sort of outlined what they plan to do, but they did give us a time frame, guys. Second quarter, we might not see any of these changes soon, but they are big changes. Easier ways to get PvP gear, easier ways to get more heroes, artifacts, a new look at how they're going to look at balancing what units, and maybe be a little bit more careful on overbalancing. But overall, this is a lot of good talk. I really appreciate that they did this, but I need to see some action if we want to take this thing seriously. Unless it might just be, you know, this is the good first step, but it's really the second step that matters. So anyways, let me know what y'all think about all of it. And for my new guys, don't even worry about any of this. Enjoy the game how you've been liking it. I'm glad y'all enjoyed the new content from both Smilegate and myself. Thank you so much for watching, boys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody.